Oh, that happened. I'm not sure. It looks like I'm recording that, doesn't it? That is quite a wide angle of view and perspective. That is what I consider really good security view of the front door, which is that's the front door. So to get into my apartment, you have to come through here, right? Which leads you into the studio. My shoes, different shoes, were outside, inside, slippers sometimes. And this is a wall that actually is shared with the common hallway that I share with an apartment across the hall from the, and this hall where the light is, where the floor lamp is. That's in the corner of this this drywall here. That's from the front door. It's leading back from the front door. And there's a corner right here. The floor lamp there. That's a picture of a 757. And unfortunately not a very good one. I paid too much for it, so other than that, it's okay. I have storage areas and stuff over here. This leads into the studio. This is my painting called Pure White Snow by Hamilton Agua. Kind of like makes me think of Valley Forge Park in the snow. Pine trees, and you're walking through some woods, and then you break into an open area where there's this rolling hill. This is a pasture, you might call it, and just beyond the pasture there's another, looks like another pretty dense growth of pine trees on the other side of the pasture. Pretty good contrast. These I've identified as maple trees, which he has an obsession with. These things go straight up and down. I have no idea. Like the next part of his career, he just kind of lost himself in that image, and it hurt him. He looked like an artist that was like a rising star, and because he did many sceneries like this, but then he went completely away from this to these like high contrast lithography images of the maple tree at wintertime, I believe. Looks like that, if I'm not mistaken. And it's straight up and down, kind of like bent in look. I believe that's the maple tree. It is a common tree, if I'm wrong about the maple tree. And then these just look like either, it could be oak or some kind of hardwood here. And then across the open pasture, there's pine trees. It's pretty good three-dimensional perspective to think about it. But anyway, it's Pure White Snow, artist of Hamilton Agua. That's, I want to say it's my favorite painting of my collection, but really, I mean, I have a number of favorites. I'm really happy with my collection. What I've accumulated is kind of exactly things that I personally appreciate and think. Whether it's a photograph or a print or a painting, the artist did a good job. You know, that's every work of art that I have. You know, there's a lower, middle, and a higher end of spectrum of quality to that work too. I'll take you for a quick walkthrough. So, as I was saying, Hamilton Agua, Pure White Snow, 2008. It's dated sign on the back. So that's a picture of a Boeing 757 bought directly from Boeing, and I think they really screwed it up. Then if you see this ladder, let me see, I'll put my finger on It's on the far side of the print, but it looks like a giant insect that's kind of like feeding off its jugular, you know. It's like, it doesn't add anything to the picture, absolutely nothing. And frankly, sorry, lost the picture. Frankly, I'm really disappointed. I mean, okay, they got the cool sunrise or sunset in the background. That's cool. And I'm pretty sure that's all I found. The lighting here is artificial. It's a time-lapse photograph. I'm pretty sure. When I say time-lapse, I'm saying as little as 2, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Because really, what they're exposing here for is the background. And then once you get that, you know, you translate it to the airplane. The airplane's going to stand out against the background with the contrast, just the contrasting colors, and the type of lighting. I will say this: the lighting is good, but the picture is completely ruined by this ladder coming up on the other side. Seriously, it looks like something from an insect monster movie. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's like this thing, it actually goes right into the nose of the airplane. If you can see that. It's like, okay, why? Why would you put that in the picture? It makes no sense. Okay, so, but I got it anyway. 7:57. There's so many better picture images than that. This is Secretariat on the home stretch at the Belmont. Let me see if this is going to work. I hope. Sorry, kind of in the way of the picture there. So, Secretariat on the home stretch. I love that picture. Oh hell. Ron Turcotte, the jockey on Secretariat, is looking backwards, okay, at how big of a lead he has, which is unbelievable. Never been matched since, and probably never will be. He holds the record at all 3 of the big tracks, and hasn't been surpassed yet. The Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. This is the Belmont, which everybody left everybody speechless. The way he pulled away, and each successive quarter was faster than the one before. So his slowest quarter was always the first quarter, and then the second was faster, and then the third was faster, and then the fourth quarter was actually the fastest quarter for the whole race for Secretariat. And that's just a marvel of a YouTube thing to look at anytime you want. It's really cool. But this is a photograph. Ron Turcotte signed it, but then his signature faded. It was on this fence here, and I'm upset about that. But you know what? The main thing is, before I forget, Secretariat's, all 4 of Secretariat's feet are off the ground here. I don't know if you can see that. That makes that picture even more unique. Really cool. And it's got a little title thing down here. This would not be for sale. I'm not going to let that go. That's just an unbelievable event and animal and event and domination. Like you just never see. Okay, so the last picture in the studio is this view of Hong Kong. I've had it, and I don't. It is signed, but I've never had it checked out. The signature. You probably can't see the signature. Lower right hand corner. I've never bothered finding out who it is, but I just like the painting. It's a Hong Kong landscape painting from the water towards the harbor view, which is pretty cool. And I like the balance of color and the blue. And actually counting, it's a small painting. It's, you know, what would you say, maybe 30 inches wide by 4 inches, you know, maybe 5 inches, 4.5 inches top to bottom. Not quite a yardstick, but it's thin. The thing is, the whole panorama of the Hong Kong harbor here, especially, you know, that one real tall rock that's kind of a signature. I don't know what it's called. And then the other mountain is even taller, the one in the background, but the one further out in the harbor, that's, you know, more of a sightseeing kind of thing. Oh, the whole view is sightseeing from what it looks like to me. I've never been there. I don't know. But I could tell, just, I've seen images before. This rock really stands out, and the one in the background is pretty dominating too. It developed into a very thriving and busy commercial, you know, activity of both, especially shipping, but as the age of aviation has come around, it's become a whole lot more accessible for anything, anybody. I don't know. I've never been there. Supposedly it's a free marketplace, but I don't know. That'd be an interesting thing to find out about. But I just like the painting, and I've held on to it for a long time. I have no idea who the author is. It's a watercolor, I can tell you that, which makes it even cooler. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a watercolor. Let me see. You double check. You can tell a watercolor because an oil, you're going to be able to feel the texture as I carefully go over the thing. Yeah, that's watercolor. And you might even say, "Oh, how do you know that's not from a copy machine?" That's a good question. I never checked for that. Anyway, I like the image. Okay, so then from there, in my room, my personal room, this is Hornet's Nest by John Shaw. A view of Jimmy Doolittle and Robert Mitchell. Doolittle is the pilot. He's a colonel, I believe, at this point, and Mitchell is an admiral, and they're on the deck of the aircraft carrier Hornet on April 18th, 1942, for the famous 30 Seconds Over Tokyo mission, which ended up being wildly successful, tragically ending for one crew that was captured by the Japanese, and some of them were executed as war crimes, committing the war crime of murder. If they ever found those guys, I know one thing for certain: anybody that's in charge on our side that's going in to look for accountability, I want to know who ordered that to happen, and I want to know also who did it. And if I just run into a stone wall, man, we're not going to get along. We're not going to get anywhere until we get this resolved. Your murdering of our POWs. You accuse them of targeting civilians. Are you kidding? After what you were doing in China, I mean, you say to the rest of the world that, no matter what we're saying, we have no honor and we just lie to everybody. That's really what you're proclaiming. You just take everybody for idiots. I'm talking about the Japanese, and I would have had no mercy on them for what they did. But anyway, so this is signed by 6 men who were on that mission. Their names are here. I don't have them memorized. Boy, it almost looks like those signatures are fading. I hope not. It's under UV protective and anti-glare glass. The glare part doesn't work very well. I just say there's more glare than there should be. But it's the author or the artist is John Shaw, and this is Jimmy Doolittle, and then there's really a bunch of human figures in the background too. And it's a really cool rendition of what's going on this aircraft carrier, where there's a whole lot of help and assignments, whatever you want to call it, crews out checking the airplanes, looking in, making sure that everything's set up correctly. It's just like, this because they're risking their lives on these machines working as they're supposed to, and boy did they. They lost one airplane, out of 16, and that was the tragic part of it. So, signatures, but not Jimmy Doolittle's signature is not up here. Jimmy Doolittle's signature is right here. This is on an envelope from an event in D.C. I don't have my glasses on, but it's 1977. An envelope about the... How did I think I said Smithsonian Institution. I need a flashlight. Let me get my looking glasses and dead burn it, so I can see what the hell I'm looking for. Oh wait. This is my pepper spray, and I've decided I'm gonna keep this in here in front of the television. Plus, it's harder for an intruder or anybody else to see right there. So I'll leave it there. So, the hell, oh, there it is. No, that's not it. I'm not that. I'm looking for for the magnifying glass. Oh, there it is. Good. Under my nose. I use this thing a lot. I have to admit, who gave it to me? It would have been, what's her face? What's her mouth? So, right, it's the, excuse me, Harvey, sorry. It's the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian Institution National Air and Space Museum Milestone of Flight Commemorative Series number 57, 65th anniversary, first successful catapult launch of an aircraft, November 12th, 1912, Washington Navy Yard, Washington, D.C. Now, they don't say who it is. It's Eugene Ely. They don't mention it. I thought for sure they mentioned his name. Anniversary. November. Where does it say Eugene? Oh, there's Jimmy Doolittle's signature. I can't believe Eugene Ely's name isn't in there, because I know Eugene Ely was the pilot of that, and it was the first successful catapult. And he was killed not too long after that. What was the date? It was 1912. So like 5 years later, I think it was. He was killed in a flying accident. Imagine that. So anyway, I love this print. It's a print that's I think there's 500 of them, a limited edition, and 6 signatures of members of the raid. Man, these signatures, I wonder if they're fading on me. What the? They might be. Yeah. Sorry, I gotta look at this. I'll be damned. I've got 1. Was that 2? I'll say 2, 3, 4, 5. There should be 6 there. I don't see them. Unless it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That could be it. I don't want to sell that while I can get something for it, huh? What do you think, Harvey? Kick Jimmy Doolittle. Now the place Robert Mitchell ended up being a doofus, didn't they? But you know what? I guess Admiral Kimmel would say, well, I'm not the only goat in town. Scapegoat. Okay, anyway. Sorry for the delay. I am working on a song. Anyway, so I didn't show the rest of my collection in here, excuse me. That's the Hornet's Nest. This is called Timberwolf, and this is an FW190 German interceptor. They was hiding in the woods. They would find places to hide because otherwise, you know, that's one of the prime target was catching them on the ground, and so they had to be careful of their camouflage when they were on the ground. So this guy's coming out of the woods into a landing strip. Now, you know, the landing strip you can't hide, and that's pretty well represented over in this side too. I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing to. But anyway, it's by a guy named Trudeau, I believe. I have to check on that. It's, you know, it's, oh, and it's got the signatures of 2 German aces. And their signatures look like they're fading too. Damn, I haven't looked at that in a while. Those signatures are 2 German aces. That airplane was pretty amazing, and it came out a little bit after the war started, I think, and was revolutionary. BMW, if you know that moniker and that kind of title of a company, Bavarian Motor Works. That engine was an air-cooled engine that really did the job, but also the design of the airplane. The wings were trying to achieve a faster response rate. I mean, you can call it response rate. A lot of people say roll rate. You know, how fast is the roll? So the wings have to be narrow and thin, still giving you a good lift, but when you give it a left or a right on the rudder to roll left or right, it does it faster than other airplanes. And this guy was, not only was he maneuverable, but he had that BMW engine, which was a winner to many victories to that airplane. And from, I don't know, early 43 to the end of the war, pretty much. So it's a good painting, though, I think. And then Eiffel Tower, you guys, all you lovers have been there. That's a picture. This is a Monet print. So in my view. And then my favorite of all, back in Harvey's room, is in here. I'll save the favorite to last. This is Roses by an artist named Brooks. I don't know if you can see the water droplets on there. It's pretty darn good. This is Henri Contention, a French artist that painted the Savoy landscape. The Savoy is an area that's bordered typically by 3 companies: France, Italy, and Switzerland. And it's kind of unique. Look at the glare on the well, that's an oil painting. I can get rid of that glare. I can go up here. Well, actually, that's not a glare. That's actually some overcast against this cliff, and then a clear blue sky opening over here, and then some like lower haze or fog just over the body of water. It's pretty. It's a really a beautiful painting, in my opinion. Hell, man, it's about the same age as me. It's 75 years old. It's painted supposedly in 1950 by this French artist, Henri Contention, and his work is landscape, his winter landscapes. If you ever get a chance to get your hands on one of his winter landscapes, those things are only going to go up in value. They are just breathtaking. Although, you know, how do you protect the value or something like that? I'm not sure. Okay, so that's an oil. Here's an oil by a German artist by the name of Eberhard Althoff. This is the Austrian countryside. I don't know if you can see, but there's 2. This is an 8x10. It's a small painting. But there's a woman, 2 women walking, and it looks like one has a blue dress and the other has a red dress, and they have a parasol that they're hanging to a little bit to the right. A cool looking pond next to the path, the dirt path that leads to a cabin with all this beautiful foliage around here, and also just beautiful countryside. Austria, so wouldn't mind seeing that. It's one of my favorite artists. Now this is by the same artist. This is a springtime thing, and it just doesn't, I don't think it's nearly as good as the one I just showed you. But it's the same idea as a path. There's two people walking on the path. He did a sloppy job, in my opinion, on the human figures. It's not very, they're not as good as the other painting. So, yeah, but I love them both. They're both originals. And then a print by some famous maritime artist here. And supposedly signed by him, but I'm not sure what the print's called. But it's a cool looking print, so I just bought it. Black Sheep Squadron, which is promised to my nephew. Again, John Shaw's the artist. This is the famous, I forget the number of squadron, but they're known as the Black Sheep Squadron with Greg Warrington, Pappy Bowington, his signature, and here are my father's wings. They're both aces. My father had 8 kills. Bowington had a lot more than that, over 30. I'm not sure how many kills he had. An ace, and he got the Medal of Honor. I'm not sure what for, but he got it. Ouch! And these are the Black Sheep famous guys and all their signatures here, which are still in pretty good shape. And it's just a beautiful rendition of a Corsair, a Vought Corsair, which is a marine airplane. I would never want to fly one of these things. To me, I'm sure I'd kill myself in this airplane. It is so unsafe. It's ridiculous. It's beautiful. And there's, you can't see the tail. You can see that there's another airplane over here. There's a group of gentlemen here. Then there's one of the airplanes over there. Then there's another one, of course, takes up most of the picture. There's this beautiful, hunky guy. You can see getting up on the wing. This beautiful, bare-chested guy with a magazine of 50 caliber bullets hanging over his shoulder. He's loading up other guys. But then here, in the background, is a picture, a much smaller rendition. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's further away. You can see the tail section, and they call this airplane, if you're looking at it from the side or rear quarter, where the tail is prominent. It's one of the most beautiful airplanes ever, which I don't see, but there's people that say that. So that's, and then there's, what is this one called? Tectonic Plates, I think. An artist from New Hope that a former girlfriend of mine bought. She paid the asking price of $80, and I just told her, I said, I can guarantee you he'll take 30. Man, he'd love to get 30. No, she had to pay full price. Okay, sure. And then this is whiskers and a gun. I call this my pride and joy painting. I tell you, the human figure is very difficult to paint or to draw, and a lot of artists shy away from it. I mean, I've seen kind of respected artists that, you just tell by their selection of what they do that they stay away from the human figure. But this guy goes all in. And one way I judge and gauge the quality of a painting and an image, this is an acrylic on canvas. One is that the closer I get to it, the better it looks. And the closer you get to this guy, and the wrinkles in his shirt and the lighting and the way the lighting goes from just underneath the brim of his hat straight onto his cheek, that transition there is so perfect and natural. The veins in his neck, the wrinkles in his shirt, and his hands and his arms, and the halo around it behind him is really cool. The lighting here and the lighting on the hat, the lighting is just exquisite. It's just perfect. And the rendition of the clothing I think is remarkable. The thing on the gun is pretty good. A former landlord of mine, when he saw this, he said, "Oh, this painting goes back a ways." I said, "Well, how do you know?" He says, "Because this shotgun has hammers." So, I mean, they went out, I don't know, I'm not sure I'm not an expert on guns, but it kind of dates the picture. What is this guy looking at? He could be looking at prey. Oh yeah, the interesting thing is the artist takes you all the way down into this guy's crotch. I don't know why, but his crotch is like right here, and there's I don't know if it's a belt from behind his collar here. There's this brown line here. Yeah, it's a strap. It's coming down from the gun. I'm pretty sure this brown line here. You can see it. This is underneath his hand here. And this is all acrylic, and this is dark. There's really subtle shades in the dark here of his pants, and there's wrinkles in his crotch there, and his other leg coming out here. And then, of course, the gun is kind of it's got a phallic symbolism there, in my opinion, but that's just me. Anyway, I love this painting. And I finally figured out that this is a signature down here by taking a real close picture of it. I can't. I've enlarged it, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm thinking it's a foreign name, of some kind of foreign language, but I don't know what. Maybe it could be Swiss. I don't know. So that's definitely my collection, and it's pretty cool, huh?